So we're here, we're live the day after MaM-a-Thon. And I'm going to go ahead and wait for people to kind of discover that we're live. Some of you may have seen me over on Mr. Capaldi's channel earlier. Had a lot of fun there talking with him and Mr. Whitehead. Love Andrew, man. Good guy, classy guy, smart, common sense. I'm just over the moon that he started a YouTube channel and started talking about the case. And, we were talking a little bit about what it's like getting over the hump of approaching these people that you want to have on as guests and stuff, because, it's a real fine line, because you always want to be respectful of the person, but you also don't want to seem like some kind of little, kid that can't even, string two words together, right? Or something, right? So, it's a daunting thing when you're talking to potential guests and stuff like that. So let me get okay, I'm not getting, wait. Here. I'm not getting the comments. Oh, wait, they're there. Okay. So, all right. Oh, 8, 9. Okay, there we go. People are starting to discover that I'm live. All right. So, but I was, just talking with him about what it's like, and he was talking about how it was, talking with Mr. Lane, his DNA expert that he had on, and that sort of stuff. And I'll tell you what, I can tell that DNA expert that Andrew had on, I can tell that guy really kind of has he kind of likes Andrew. I think he actually kind of admires Andrew and likes Andrew. And I told Andrew today, I just point blank, essentially straight up. I was like, I got to tell you, when you were bringing the segment to an end, he looked like he was actually maybe a little bit, sad that it was, that was going to be it. I go, I'll tell you what, you got a pretty good relationship with him, Andrew. So you want to go ahead and keep that relationship with him strong. Because that guy is very helpful. He's got a lot of very useful information. He knows what's going on with DNA and those things, and he can answer some technical questions for us, and and that sort of thing. So, that's awesome. But so Andrew's starting to get over those humps of being unsure of yourself, and learning to be assertive, respectful but assertive. It's a real delicate mix. But it's great. It was a great weekend. It was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm a host, and even I was just totally digging all of the guests and all of the things that were getting so many of the things that were getting discussed. All of the interviews with wrongfully convicted, oh man. The mother of a wrongfully convicted man, Doreen, over on Tracy's channel. And then there was Ricky, and then there was Jason, on her channel. And those guys were telling their stories. Ricky was great. He was saying to Doreen when he came in at the end of her segment, he was like the first thing he said when he came in, he was like, "Oh, don't take the tree down," because that's one of the things. She's being real sentimental. She didn't want to take the Christmas tree down because of what's going on with her son, and it's a sentimental thing to her. So it was like the first thing that he said when he came in, he was telling her, "You don't take the tree down," and and everything. Oh, the content was brilliant. It was great. It was awesome. It was, it was just, it was really good. It was really, really good stuff. So, expanding it out to a lot more hosts this year, getting more people involved and showing the world at large that more people are getting involved, right? You know what I mean? And it was really, really great. It went really, really well, and there was a lot of useful information, a lot of good stuff to learn. Phenomenal is a great word. It was. It was absolutely just, I mean, I was so happy to be able to get Steve Moore because I just respect his opinion regarding, investigation and how investigators should conduct themselves and everything. So I was super excited to have him on. And then Amanda Knox had to cancel on me, unfortunately, on Friday, that morning on Friday. And no, much love to Amanda Knox. No hard feelings. She had something come up and she was absolutely genuinely apologetic. And I feel sure we'll be seeing Amanda Knox here in the future. But I ended up putting in that spot with Amanda Knox was I ended up talking to Sydney. Life's good, Sydney was awesome. She's a great guest, full of energy. She does her own thing, and she's pretty well informed when it comes to wrongful convictions and even convictions themselves. Because unfortunately, as tragic as it is, her brother was murdered, and she had to sit through the trial where his murderer was put on trial and convicted. And so she was able to come in with a somewhat unique victim's kind of point of view, or a victim's family kind of twist on it. So I thought that was really cool. Got to talk to her. And then she got to talking about this. There's this gentleman out there who's an activist and stuff for wrongfully convicted, and he's trying to help out people he thinks is wrongfully convicted. And she was talking about how that guy had started to attack her at one point and stuff. And I was just like, oh boy. And I took that chance right there to remind people that is exactly why we have to remain classy. We have to stay classy, because we don't want to be that guy. We don't want to be that guy who is being seen to be harassing the families of victims, right? So that's why we want to be able to keep it classy and everything, and not be like that guy. So and she was just talking a little bit about what was going on there and everything. So it was a very, very enjoyable talk. And then obviously went into Dr. Silkman, and Dr. Silkman is brilliant. Dr. Silkman is just awesome. And I obviously I could have maybe had Dr. Silkman on to do something about DNA, but I actually think Dr. Silkman is just as strong just talking about Brendan and the false confessions and the coerced confession and that sort of thing. I think he's just as strong there. And since my first segment was all about, hammering away at the Brendan situation, essentially, that's why him and I ended up having our discussion about Brendan, and it was great. Dr. Silkman says a lot of brilliant stuff. He's just a very, very smart gentleman, and and he's an Aussie, which is nice. It's cool, right? I love those Aussies. Got so many Aussie friends nowadays. And yeah, he's just great. He's awesome. And then we left then my segment ends. We move into Johnny and Ripper. And and Ripper was talking with some of the ladies in the community, and he's obviously he's humor's a bit of Johnny's thing. He's a bit of a clown sometimes. He's kind of joking around and doing that sort of thing. So I really enjoyed watching Ripper's segment and everything, and was part of the way through Paul's segment when suddenly, I don't know, it was like 4:30 in the morning or something, I went comatose suddenly without realizing. So I ended up waking up right at the end of Jerome's segment and right before Sharon Sunshine's segment. And I was actually supposed to be on Sharon Sunshine's segment. So I'm like jumping out of bed, hurrying into the shower, like trying to get cleaned up and dressed and everything so I could get to the studio and get in front of my computer. And oh man, yeah. And Saturday was rough because I woke up to go live with Sharon or be on Sharon's channel and stuff. And I was up for a little while. I watched, I think, one more segment, and then all of a sudden, bam, went right back down. And I was down for like 3 or 4 hours. Then I woke up again. Then I watched some segments up until about 1 o'clock in the morning or something. Went to bed around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night. And then when I woke up on Sunday, I was good. I was up and alert and like on top of it on all cylinders on Sunday, and doing whatever I could to try to help out. So, Ripper is passionate. He is. He's a great guy. Oh, don't let me forget this, folks. Ripper's headed to Florida tomorrow, folks. He's headed to Florida. You know what it's about. It's about the Don Lewis case, folks. Yes. So he's going to be headed to Florida. Folks, you need to keep an eye on Ripper here for the next few days, week, okay, until he comes back from Florida. If we suddenly stop hearing from Ripper in the next couple of days, we need to raise a bit of an alarm about it. We need to try to figure out where he's at, right? Okay, good. Because he's going to be in Florida, and I would like for my good friend Johnny not to become tiger food. So, all right. Hello, Rhonda. So let me say hi to everybody in the chat real quick. I may have the Hod joining me, by the way, here, folks. Oh, speak of the devil, as soon as I said it. Wow. All right. Well, there he is. Hold on. Okay. Let me get him in here. Let me get my headphones on. Hey there, Mr. Hod.
Hey. Welcome. Welcome to another week.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another week in quarantine?
Yeah, exactly. I think this is the start of week 7 for me. So
right,
yeah.
7, yeah. I think it's been about 7 weeks here in Cali, but since I'm essential, I get to run around. I get to run around and see how empty everything is. But yeah. I'm actually very proud of California, though, with the social distancing and the observing of things. A lot of mask wearing now. I mean, you can't go into, well, at least where I'm at in Los Angeles, you really can't go into a business or anything like that now without having a mask on.
Okay.
And I just want to explain to some people out there, it's like, what the point of wearing masks is. Not because it's 100% foolproof plan to stop it. That's not why. You got to understand, folks, the idea is to knock the probabilities of transmission down. And that's what masks do. They knock down that probability significantly, So anyways, all right, this isn't a COVID-19 video. So before everybody leaves, oh, we got the captain with us. How you doing there, Captain? Are the sundials working there in Crunch Island?
The sextants.
Yeah. Well, you know where Crunch Island really is, so and it's probably raining there today, most likely. Who knows? Anyway. So, anyways, all right. So, anyway, yeah, it was a great event, a lot of fun, and it was just really well done. Like, all the hosts did a really good job. Everybody was on time, except for Hollywood. Hollywood one time was a little bit late. But anyways, we still love him, though. Uh-oh, Sharon isn't asleep. How you doing there, Miss Sunshine? So, obviously, it was a great – how much of it did you get to catch there, Mr. Mark?
I probably saw about a third of it live and probably another third or a bit more post the event, sort of watch the follow-ups.
Right.
So, but I'm hoping to see, the bits I missed, I'm hoping to catch up during the course of the next week or so. But, the thing that really struck me was the depth of knowledge and source of information, how we all, during the normal course of the year, that people are doing their somewhat individual thing, and but when it all comes together in one big group, you realize how powerful it is. It's like a tsunami of justice fighters, and it's quite inspirational. So that's
that was a big reason why I pushed to expand the guests this year, because I felt it was in two ways good. Number one, it brings a lot of fresh blood to the event, which brings energy, and number two, it also lightened the load, because on 4 hosts, the 48-hour the 48-hour thing was pretty rough. It was actually pretty rough.
Wow.
So
It's hard to
expanding it out to
imagine
9 guests, and then plus now the world looks in it last year and goes, oh, they had 4 guests, and then they look in it this year, oh, whoa, they have 9 guests, and it's not like a documentary came out for it to explode to 9 guests. So you know what I mean? It's, for me, it was a big thing to show that.
And I think it's also always important to remember that there are always relatively new people coming on board to follow this matter. And so even though some of the things that we speak about we're already familiar with or know the detail, it's important to understand that not all the audience are as familiar with things as others would be. So always returning back to basic issues is really important. And getting that perspective from different angles is fascinating.
Right, it was, yeah. It was. Did you happen to catch Tracy Struncey's?
I saw Tracy at the beginning when you opened. I haven't seen her session post when she had a unit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was brilliant with Sandy too. So no, but yeah, I would say maybe bump that one up to next on your list, because she talks to Doreen, who is the mother of a wrongfully convicted gentleman. She talks to the Ricky. I'm sorry, Ricky, but your last name's escaping me. But he was brilliant. And then Jason Ohm, was it? I don't know. Jason was the next guy. They were all exonerees, and they were all, big about telling their story and how, these are not things that just happen in their case. You know what I mean? No. It was like they're talking about how these things are not just, when you see these things happening, that the conviction is questionable. You know what I mean? At the very least, it's questionable. And it was brilliant. And then Johnny Ripper had Adam Brazil.
I saw some of his. Yep.
You saw that? Yeah, that was brilliant. And I gotta say, Adam is pretty amazing, dude. That guy, considering all the time he spent in prison, considering that he had to do an Alford plea, and he's still technically considered guilty. I mean, it's just like, oh God! But the dude had such a smile on his face, so upbeat. He's like, you would never know. You would never know by meeting the guy on the street, just by his demeanor, because he's just a really cool dude. I
think, and I'm sure he reflected that in his comments.
Ricky Kidd and Jason.
They talk in those terms about being looking forward, not looking backwards, because that's their way of winning, right? Their way of. You could be angry. We'll all remember when Stephen said in his first conviction that the anger left him when he walked out of prison, right?
Right.
And I think that's the same with a lot of the exonerees. They said, well, what's the point in reflecting in the past for all the bad behavior of others? You may as well be positive and focused and be grateful for what's ahead of you than anything else. I think that's where you allocate your emotional reservoir to the future. I think that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah. So. And there was somebody else that I've done a video about in the past, John Bunn, very similar, where he impressed me with his attitude upon getting out was, an attitude of goodwill when he had, all the reason in the world to be bitter, but, he didn't go down that road. And that's where John Bunn had impressed me as well. So I always find that impressive. I don't expect it from people who've been wrongfully convicted, because obviously, yes, they have a great deal of reason to be bitter and upset. But when you see one that chooses to fight the good fight and do the right thing and be better than the system that victimized him, when they choose to rise above, they make bigger clowns of the clowns that convicted them, in my opinion. And I
agree. I couldn't agree more.
So,
as I say, it's the way of winning, taking the high road. So I think that's a very smart mental and emotional thing to do.
Yeah, so, absolutely. So, all right. Then we had, all kinds of good stuff. I had Jeff and Zoe on again. That's the dog handler, and Zoe on McGilla. We had all kinds of, on various channels. All the various Redditors and the hardcore researchers from the Discord communities were all over all the various channels and stuff. And man, it was just a lot of fun. It was just a really, really great time. And like I said, so much interesting information in this year's MaM-a-Thon. It was just amazing.
Yeah, as I said, I know I'm being repetitive. I find it quite energizing how through the course of the year we're all operating somewhat individually, not totally, but somewhat. And then you get this superpower of people coming together.
Right.
And you realize how wide and deep the pursuit of justice is for Stephen and Brendan and in general terms for wrongfully convicted people. So,
right.
Yep.
So
it's good.
So, and then after, it was funny because I was already planning to end my live with Stacy last year. You remember that clip, right? So I was already, I had that clip ready to go when I ended, because I was going to be like, now everybody get prepared to see Stacy upload another one of these, or whatever. And so that's the way I was going to do it. But then just before I was about to end, I could see everybody in the chat saying, Stacy's about to go live. Stacy's going to go live. Stacy's going to go live. And I'm like, I go, oh, good. I go, then I guess he won't be, I guess he learned from last year and he won't be like this. Hit the play share screen. And of that clip from him last year was brilliant. Oh man, it's good time. That last
I was in Manitowoc last year when MaM-a-Thon was on.
Yes.
Which was
getting all kinds of good stuff for me.
Yeah, because I was visiting Stephen and got some clips from him and other things. So yeah.
Yep. It was great. It was, and then so everybody, it was funny. So I played that clip and we all went over to Stacy's channel, and then that was just awesome because Stacy wasn't in a rush. You know what I mean? He kind of thought he was at first, but then he kind of realized he wasn't. It was fun. You know what I mean? And then, so watching him realize he wasn't in a rush was funny. And then he went on to play like another 10 songs after realizing he wasn't in such a rush as he thought he was.
Yeah, he got the love bug, I think. So
yeah. Oh yeah. It was fun. It was. I saw you there.
Yeah, I was there. I listened to about 5 or 6 songs. Then I had to go up and do something, but you can't give me enough of Stacy Seabrook when it comes.
I know, right? For me, it was a perfect way to wind down because I was still all like, from my final segment, that last 15 minutes of my segment when I brought Johnny and Paul in, it just became freaking laugh central, dude. We were just cracking up, and it was just like, oh my god, my stomach hurt. I was just all full of energy after I ended, and so going over to listen to Stacy and having everybody there and talking with everybody while he was playing, and it was perfect wind down. It was perfect, dude. So I'm glad Stacy did that.
Yeah, it was very, very generous of him, and also because he's happy to show the rawness of what it takes to write music and sing music. It's not a production line, right? So and he feels close enough and engaged enough with all the supporters to be happy to do that. So it's really nice.
He's my whole thing is Stacy is a rock on tour. He just I know I've made this analogy before, and I'll probably make it again. He's like Jim Morrison at the Whiskey A Go-Go, and he still has his back to the crowd. That's what he's like. I swear to God. I mean, to me, that's what it is. He's a brilliant storyteller through song. And
it's unbelievable.
And that's what a rock on tour is. You know what I mean? It's essentially. So, I mean,
and he's so many things. Like, he's obviously a very talented musician. He's a wonderful storyteller. He's a brilliant lyricist in terms of how he puts words together.
Yeah.
And his depth of knowledge of the case or cases is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And how he brings that into song is genius, really. That's what it is. That's the little subtleties. If you listen to some of the subtleties in his lyrics, it's just
well, he played 36 million yesterday, dude.
Yeah.
He played 36 million. I love that song, dude. And I particularly love the lyric where he's like, Exhibit 823. Oh, wait, some of you ain't following me. You know, and he's like, and then he goes on to say, if I can't tell you, it would go on too long. This would become a 10-part docu-song. I've always loved that lyric, dude. Anyways, oh my God. So, but he doesn't like to play 36 million really very often, it seems to me. But he did last night. So, and then he did the prize. Oh God,
there's some unbelievable lyrics in the prize.
Oh my God,
the emotional.
And I think there's a line there. He's kind of.
That's what I mean about the lyricist talent. He gets them in there. Like I think there's a line in. I think I got the right song. There's a line in there that says, and he underlined it in a bolder font or something like.
Yeah. He's like, underline that in your boldest font.
Yeah, I mean, how do you even think of that?
Want. Yeah.
That's talent. That's talent.
It is. Yeah, it totally is. Yeah. That's oh my God. What is he? You say I want the one part where he's like something, and he's like, I'm too busy sexing my clients,
Yeah, that's right.
My God, yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
I could probably maybe get away with playing that one off of Facebook, but I don't know. But so I mean, that was a good wind down. It was a brilliant event. People like Michelle Vernon and Jane Sharp as a pencil. Finn and Julie, and many others. Linda K. listening also. Many of the hosts were also modding and putting up links, and that's all part of making MaM-a-Thon successful. It gives.
If you don't have that, it's much less than what it is.
Yeah.
It's they're the road crew, if you like. So it's really important the work they do. So
very part of certainly. And so I mean it's important, and Tracy Struncy, like I said, all the hosts pretty much, we're helping out, but it takes everybody coming together like that to make it work, and it's brilliant that everybody did, and so much thanks to those people I was just talking about, because it's by working together that it creates this event that people want to tune in, people are actually keeping track of it. People are actually messaging us going, where's the live? Because they've lost track and they want to get back in. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that tells us, we know. I mean, so we've got this streaming event, MaM-a-Thon, obviously run by Tracy Struncy, and that sort of thing, which is always going to be in March. It's already been scheduled for next year. That it's the 23rd to the 25th, I think next year now. So I believe
is that April you mean, or March? April.
I'm sorry, April. It's same time next year, basically. April.
Okay.
Sorry, folks. Yep. April. But April 23rd to 25th, I guess. And then, so that's when MaM-a-Thon will be next year. So you guys can all look forward to that coming around again. But what we're going to be doing now, Mark and I and a few other people have been kicking this idea around. And after listening to a lot of the things I heard this weekend, it brought it home for me that I think we need to do another streaming event. And I figured this streaming event should go towards the end of the year so that it kind of breaks, so there's, hopefully going to be just even gaps, hopefully, or roughly even gaps between this event and MaM-a-Thon over there in April, right? So hopefully by having them spaced out like that, it's two events for people to look forward to. But the event we're going to do in October, I believe we're going to coincide it to the closest weekend to October 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we're going the closest weekend to October 2nd is because that's wrongful conviction day. October 2nd is actually, wrongful conviction day. It's a day that's meant to bring awareness for wrongful conviction. So it makes this a prime time And as I said, it's just at the right time to keep an even space, so that it's, 6 months away from, roughly 6 months away from MaM-a-Thon. So it's, now 2 points in the year that people can look forward to. But it also will be about wrongful convictions. And we're going to be going ahead and we're going to be trying to get a hold of the wrongfully convicted. I can tell you already in my sites who I plan to go after and start going after immediately are Valentino Dixon, Devontae Sanford, and a few others. But
I can think of a few too. So.
Yeah. So but those are the two. Those are the two that I've talked about a lot. Valentino Dixon's the one that does the beautiful artwork, folks, of like golf courses and stuff. He taught himself how to paint in prison while he was wrongfully convicted. So I thought it would be really good if I could eventually talk to him. So him and Devontae Sanford are two that really, really popped to mind that I really want to talk to, because Devontae Sanford is the one who was convicted. A hitman came forward, basically admitted to the whole thing, led them to the evidence that proved that the confession he gave was absolutely true, and they still let Devontae Sanford rot.
Yeah.
Instead of making it right. So I would love to get a hold of them. I will obviously think of more, but we'll probably be lining up more than just two wrongfully convicted gentlemen.
Oh, for sure. I can imagine you having 10 or a dozen of them, and they could be some from outside of the United States as well. So there's
yes,
that would add an international dimension to it as well. I know certainly
that would be nice. Yeah, that would be cool.
In Australia and Great Britain and other places. So
yeah.
I think it's really important. One of them, it's sort of a bit like yourself. One of the things that came out of the MaM-a-Thon weekend for me this last weekend was, I guess, the wrongfully convicted person is so prevalent out there, and so I think we all want Stephen and Brendan to be released, and I'm very confident that will happen, but after that happens, there'll still remain thousands and thousands of wrongfully convicted people in prison.
Sure.
Not just in the United States, but all over the world. So I think having a broadcast focused around Wrongful Conviction Day will be an important piece of work in perpetuity to the pursuit of wrongful convictions, or the pursuit of the correction of wrongful convictions. So, you can't talk about Stephen and Brendan without getting shocked about the others that surround them. And, I'm sure it's the case with you, Erekose, but before Stephen and Brendan's case, partly we were aware of wrongful convictions, but nothing like I was as a result of their cases. And then the dozens and dozens of other matters that have popped up as a consequence of that, has blown my mind, and so I think having a streaming event surrounding wrongful convictions and all that go with that, including how we remedy that or help to remedy that, how we get a new wave of young lawyers in the system who have this in their DNA, that the pursuit of truth is the primary goal, and a public that gets out and votes for the appropriate people for the appropriate reasons. And a general public that has a higher awareness of their rights and what they should and shouldn't say when they're confronted by law enforcement. I think the legacy of Stephen and Brendan, if the legacy of Stephen and Brendan is a greater awareness of the whole of the community to this issue about how you deal with this stuff, what a wonderful legacy that would be. So, so I think it's a good idea. So,
well, that's what I mean. Folks, I've been thinking about it. It's like, folks, I know Avery Dassey. I could talk about Avery Dassey standing on my head, to you guys all day long. But are you guys learning any more about it really at this point if I continue to just pound on the same old things? What I think is helpful is if we, as people who are arguing for Avery and Dassey, have more well-rounded information. And we're more aware of the broader scope of how wrongful convictions happen, so that when people try to come at you with silly arguments like, oh, do you just believe all the law enforcement we're all getting on board with? No, I don't believe all law enforcement were maliciously on board with it. But we can point to numerous cases where we can see law enforcement, DAs, and everybody going along with something they know is wrong because it's easier.
Yep.
And so we're going to show these things. That's what we want to illustrate. And when we're putting actually wrongfully convicted men and women in front of people's faces and letting people know how that happens, it's going to help you argue better and more effectively for Avery Dassey.
Yes. Yep.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, that's why I think the creation of a streaming event around this is really a legacy event that will have life irrespective of the topics, if you like, or the people who are the subject of the topics. So, you know, with good effort and good grace, we'll see Stephen and Brendan out, hopefully, in the near future. But this issue doesn't go away just because of their release, and all the energy and all the drum beating that we've all done over the many years needs to have another forum to play that in, and that forum could be this very thing, just focusing on wrongful convictions generally. So, yeah,
absolutely. So that's why we're headed in that direction, folks. I know some of you out there are like, ugh, it's not Avery Dassey. Well, I mean, look, folks, I understand your passion is for Avery Dassey. I'm with you. I mean, it's what got me here to the table. But
hey, I can tell you firsthand. I can't speak for Brendan because I've never had a significant conversation with him, but I certainly have had many hundreds of hours of conversations with Stephen Avery and face to face, and I can tell you he would be absolutely 150% behind anything that avoids other people getting into the situation that he got into.
Right.
So it may not be him. This thing may not solely be about him. Of course, it wouldn't be, but he would be definitely in support of it. So, yeah. Stephen is a well-rounded individual. He's not self-centered at all. So he's just as much interested in fairness and justice as we all are. So irrespective of his self-interest in his situation. So.
Right. His self-interest in wanting to not be locked up in a 10 by 10 cage. God, the guy's so selfish. No, I'm just kidding.
You think it? I know we talk about this a lot, but it's. I never get sick of contemplating this thing. You think about Stephen. He's been now locked up, wrongfully convicted for 33 years. I think the number is 33 years. Just think about that. In a world of bars and prison guards and constraint of liberty, and you think how he has managed to be the person and maintain the person that he is just remarkable. But I can tell you there is one ingredient that's made him that way, and one word describes it, and it's called innocence. He's innocent man. He believes in his innocence, and that's what's giving him the energy, the fuel to make him get through this process so far. And there's so much to learn from someone like Stephen Avery. If you present value that back into yourself and say, what is it about that man that makes him capable of doing that is capable of surviving? And just think how important that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that'll be our focus. And, I imagine we'll probably be coming up with probably a handful of different entities that are committed to fighting the fight for the wrongfully convicted. And
I was interested. Was it Ripper that spoke to Aaron Moriarty? Was it him?
Yes.
I mean, they were fascinating discussions. Those discussions.
And he talked to Trisha Bushnell, which was also very interesting.
Yeah, and so getting some of those type of people involved again would be useful too, because they have quite a range of influence, put it that way. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, potential what places that might be. I mean, I'm thinking probably like the Juvenile Law Center will probably be one of the, places that we'll probably suggest, because they're one of the, they wrote one of the amicus briefs for Brendan when he was petitioning the Supreme Court. So I was thinking they might be a good one.
Any of those amici would be great,
Right.
In fact, all of them would be.
And if we could maybe get some of them on for the event itself. Yeah.
That'd be wonderful. Because their presentations, which never actually got the light of day in the sense of the Supreme Court, were just unbelievably fantastic. And they represent prosecutors, they represent psychologists, they represent a whole wide range of people that have an interest in this matter. And so if we can get them on, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at, and I'm pretty excited because, now there'll be 2 points for everybody to look forward to throughout the year while we're continuing to fight the fight, and
let's hope
it helps us circle the wagons, right? It helps,
correct.
Get all the supporters kind of on the same page again. And go ahead. Sorry.
Let's hope. That MaM-a-Thon, this is not at all meant to be disrespectful, becomes redundant soon. Because that means that, I would think at least, perhaps it doesn't, but that would mean Stephen and Brendan are released. So,
right.
But
it could probably still go on as MaM-a-Thon because the documentary that.
True. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's a great event. So, I mean, we're going to continue to keep MaM-a-Thon strong and do what we can to make it strong as well. Hopefully not, based on the fact that it's the documentary that made us all aware of Stephen and Brendan, so that we get them all released, right? So, So,
but I just like how MaM-a-Thon is like the glue that brings everyone publicly together.
Yeah,
and demonstrates the power of the collective, and that's true no matter what the circumstances are. And so, and again, as I wasn't an organizer, I was just a participant. I take my hat off to everyone involved in front of the scenes, behind the scenes. It's just a fabulous event, and congratulations to you all. So,
yeah. So it was a lot of fun. The hosts really did well. It's just lots of interesting content. It was just, it's like I said, it takes a lot of people to make the event go. So, it to go well. And so we'll be obviously looking to, fill in the ranks for this, wrongful conviction day stream weekend that we're going to come up with. Obviously, I don't have a name for it yet. That's why it sounded all clumsy like it did right there. But we'll come up with something a little slicker for it, but it's not going to include MAM. So,
no.
But it's going to be about wrongful conviction, and we'll figure out the best way to make that sound slick.
Yeah, so, sounds good. Great idea.
Somebody thinks I'm ignoring somebody. So let me see here.
I'll try to help.
Oh, Jerome. Hold on. Let me find out where Jerome is here.
Could I join you in 5 minutes? He's saying.
Oh.
That was 2 minutes. That was 2 minutes ago.
All right, Jerome.
Did Paul Capaldi have to pay you a license fee to use your office during MaM-a-Thon? I think there needs to be some sort of copyright over that. So, intellectual property. So
he keeps sending people pictures of his green. It's actually his green screen and everything because it's not while it's on video. But he's like, Yeah, I was in Crunch Island this weekend, and I drank all of the dudes whatever, and he's got like this little thing where a line is drawn with an arrow pointing to empty bottles, and then another one at the top that has a line and an arrow pointing to almost empty bottles. I love that guy. Hey, bring Mad Scott's in there.
I know.
All right, Jerome. There you go, buddy. Come on in. Let's see what you want to talk about. So, anyways, that's what we're looking at, folks. This upcoming event, and like I said,
So you said around October the 2nd. Is that was the date you mentioned, right?
October 2nd is Wrongful Conviction Day. Yeah.
Let me just have a check my little calendar here.
How's it going, Jerome?
I'm fine. Dude. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Mr. Belgium. How are you?
Mr. Belgium. I love this nickname. Because it's really ironic, and I love that because Mr. Belgium is, a beautiful guy, and
That's
right.
that's you, mate. That's you.
Yeah. And it's really nice. So, I would like just to take for 2 minutes to talk about something was really important for me and for you. I assume for you too. I have talked with Sharon and Stacy, and I would like to say that I told her to her to invite on my channel to continue to share and talk about the guests during the MaM-a-Thon, the story. And I think it's really important because, like a lot of people said, Brandon and Steven have this spotlight, with MAM, but it's not the same case for everybody. So, and there is a lot of people deserve justice too. So I'm to my level, and at my level, I would like to continue with MAM and after MAM to help people to explain and share the story. And I'm always looking for international translator to help me on the channel, because it's not always easy to be to be you know what I mean. It's not and it's not my first language, so I try to learn day by day more and more and more English language, because I'm really involved now. And
I would suggest, Jerome, that you find somebody there in Belgium that can help you, that does speak fairly fluent English, who could just watch your video and transcribe everything in French, and then you can take that and enter that into be your subtitles. That way, the French community would be able to follow along.
Yeah, I'm looking for that, but I have not find somebody.
I know how you feel.
Maybe
you get the idea for things, but then you realize you got to pay somebody to do that, or you got to buy a piece of equipment. And you're right. No, anyways, but
So here's a suggestion, Jerome. Try to reach out to maybe some year 12 high school children who are studying English and who want an environment to practice it in, and that could be a great opportunity for them. Let alone a support.
You're not talking about Teresa's like unmentionables or anything like that. I don't know. You don't want kids.
Well, if it,
getting all up into a true crime saga, maybe.
But maybe you could approach within your area some local high schools, so who might have some students. Any number, it doesn't have to be one, who'd like to participate, and just give it a trial run and see whether that works for you. They may just come on. They could do it in the subtitling way, or they could come on board and just help with translation on an issue that you're trying to communicate. So
it will be very appreciated.
Yeah,
that's
you might just find one of the student. You might find a student who already knows about MAM and would just be interested in helping. So
right.
Great. So, I mean, that's the big thing about learning another language. It's one thing to learn it in the classroom. It's another to have the practice environment. So if you can offer up a practice environment to someone or a group of people, that would be like a little pot of gold for them. So,
right.
It's really. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jerome. Go ahead.
I review, Mark. It's really interesting because all around the world, people know are in some kind involved, in this journey, and I'm really proud of that.
Actually, Jerome, I actually thought of someone who I'll talk to, direct message you. But I have a friend who lives in Belgium. She speaks fluent English, but she's actually from Romanian. So she I'm sure she can actually. She's married to a Belgian gentleman, and she may well be interested in supporting you, even if to give it a go. Anyway, she's I think she's about age 23 or something like that, and I could maybe make contact with her and see whether she might be able to help you. But I would also pursue the high school thing. I think that has some multiple values there beyond just what's good for your thing, but also good for them.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark.
My pleasure.
That it was all for me, Jude. Thank you again for this opportunity you gave me to be an host this year for MaM-a-Thon, because it was a great pleasure for me to help, and it's always a great pleasure for me to help people, but this year it was really special and really emotional, and great moment, great host, great guest, and I recommend to all of you, if you have already see this MaM-a-Thon weekend, you can watch in replay and go ahead, because it was really interesting and really beautiful. So, Dude, thank you very much. Mark.
Yeah, I feel honored to be just a small part, but a part of it. It's a great thing, collectively and individually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the dude there, he planted a seed, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and this seed, seed.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, great now, and she greets a lot, and we have now a beautiful community with us. We try to find truth and fight for justice and seeking truth. And I believe, and I believe in this cause, because it's marvelous.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well said.
Very beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you, Jerome.
It was all for me. Okay.
Hey. Well, thank you for taking part in MaM-a-Thon. Like I said, so
thanks to you. Thanks to you. You are the dude, and the dude always abide.
Yeah, I always abide. I do indeed.
So, bye everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerome. All the best. Yep.
And
take care.
I'll
be in touch. I'll be in touch, Jerome.
Okay, we'll be in touch. And like the dude said, stay tuned. Bye.
See you, mate.
See you later, bud. So, all right. I'm pretty sure that guy will probably be involved.
Yeah.
In our October event. So,
Yeah.
Love Jerome. Dude's got a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and it seems seemingly boundless. Dude, the dude just got over coronavirus, man. Couldn't even tell. Anyway, so
he's a remarkable human being, Jerome. So
and he wasn't one of those ones that was asymptomatic, and he wasn't one of those ones that it was just like the flu. He actually did have to go to the hospital at one point. So
wow.
But here he is. Boom.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy, a lot of energy. Doesn't seem to be much that gets him down, so he's a great guy.
Yeah. Well, I think I better get back to work.
Yeah.
I think, I've always said how dragging my boss is, right? He's always on to me. A bit like yours, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Absolutely. So I'll let you get back to work, folks. I think we've hit our major points here. Obviously, we wanted to talk a little bit about the great time MaM-a-Thon was, and then obviously we wanted to talk a little bit about this event that we are now planning for October. So like I said, around October 2nd, Wrongful Conviction Day. The whole theme is going to be wrongful conviction and how do we prevent them? How can we be aware of them? And folks, the idea is to inform your arguments so that when you're arguing for Avery and Dassey, you can cite other cases of wrongful convictions where something that you're suggesting happened to back you up and that sort of thing. It's only going to help you. It's only going to add tools to your arsenal. So it's your tool chest. So I hope everybody will be excited about it. I think, it will be fascinating. And thank you for being here, Mark.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, and all the best. Have a great week.
Yep. All righty, everybody. What I always say here, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe.
And we'll see you.